All right, for this, you all are going to make a coaster out of a piece of plastic canvas. So your square is already cut. You're going to need a yarn needle, a pair of scissors, and 2 colors of yarn. So for this, the inside of my coaster is going to be green, and then the outside trim will be white. So you're going to need to get a piece of yarn about the length of your arm span. Cut it off and thread your needle. Now you're not going to thread it like this because the yarn will fray. What you want to do is fold it over and pinch it, and send the pinched piece through the needle. And then you're going to have a short tail and a long tail. Now, these needles are expensive. They're about $2 a piece. And for our class, I buy about 30 of them. So you need to return these to me at the end of each class. They may not leave the room. So what you're going to do is you're going to start down in the bottom right corner. The very bottom one, and then come over to the second one. And you bring your needle in from the back. So it's not the very corner one, it's over to the left, to the second one. Bring your needle through, pull it all the way through. Whoops, I pulled it too far. I'll start again. Pull it all the way through, and now I have a knot. So if you get a knot, don't pull it tight, just untie it. Try it again. Pull it all the way through until you have about a 1-inch tail on the back, and you don't knot it. Now what you're going to do is you're going to then come from the front, diagonally up and over one hole to the right, and hold your tail on the back with your finger. So there's your first stitch. Now notice your stitches are always going to the right. They're always at an angle to the right. And then you're going to come to the third hole, come from the back, pull it through, and go up one, over one to the right, because you want your stitch to be on a right hand slant. See that? See the stitch? It's on a right hand slant. Come in again from the back, the next hole over, pull it through, and up one, over one to the right. So now I'm just going to continue doing this until I have done the entire row. Now you all will see that if I flip it over to the back, I'm stitching right over top of the tail. So if you hold your tail flat, I'm catching that tail underneath my stitches. So that, because this is going to be a coaster, and you want it to sit flat on the table, and you won't have any knots or anything in the back, and the tail will be completely hidden. Now you'll notice I was not paying attention right now, and I made a mistake. Instead of a diagonal, I did a vertical stitch. So I'm going to back stitch. I'm going to come in from the same hole that I just did, send it back through. That took the stitch out. Now I'm going to do it the correct way on a diagonal. Now I've completed the first row, and if I flip it over to the back, you'll see the tail is completely hidden because I stitched over top of it. All right, now, so your stitches are always going to go on a diagonal to the right, like my finger. Okay. The first row, though, we were moving from right to left. For the second row, and you're just going to zigzag. My next row is going to go this way. And I'm going to zigzag all my rows like that. So for my next row, I'm going to start up in the second hole. I'm going to come in from the back, and I'm going to go up one, over one to the right. And for the next stitch, I'm going to come in right there, and a stitch has already gone in there. And a lot of times students want to go up here, but if you do that, then you're going to leave a gap. So you want to go right there. Nope, I'm wrong. You're going to go right there. Pull it through, and diagonally, up one, over one, diagonally to the right. And you're just going to continue that in the next hole right there. You're going to continue the entire row that way. Now I've completed the first 2 rows, and I want you to notice that all of my stitches are at an angle to the right. My first row, I started here and I moved across to the left. Then I went up, and my next row, I was moving this way. So now for my third row, I'm going to go up and I'm going to move this way. And then my next row, so they will just keep zigzagging back and forth. So my third row is going to go this way. I ended over here, so it's exactly like the first row again. Start down here on the right and come over one to the left. Come in from the back, up one, over one, diagonally to the right. And I will just continue this. And I will continue with my rows zigzagging back and forth until I've completed the entire coaster. Then I will change yarn and I will show you how to do the whip stitch around the outside. Alright, so you're just zigzagging back and forth, and you're going to get to a point where you don't have much thread left. So turn it over to the back and feed your needle through a couple of the stitches, and it can be a little hard sometimes. Alright, so just feed it through like that and snip it off. And then you'll just start again with, that will secure it. So then get another piece of thread, of yarn, about the length of your arm span, and fold it over, pinch it, thread your needle, and then you're going to pick up just where you left off. Just like at the beginning, pull it through until you have a little tail, and you'll stitch right over top of it, and then you'll just keep going. Alright, so I've completely filled in my square, okay, with the single stitches. So I'm going to flip it over to the back, and I'm going to stitch in the tail. So just run it under a couple of the stitches in the back, and then snip it off. Alright, now get your other color, okay, and I'm going to use white. Get a piece about the length of your arm span, fold it over, and thread your needle. Alright, now start up here in the corner, and I'm going to tuck the tail in. So I'm going to start in the very corner, come through from the back, so that you have about 1 inch of a tail, and then just wrap it over. Now you're going to come back around from the back and come into the same hole. This is called the whip stitch, and you are going to whip it around and just then come into the next hole and pull it through. Whip it around. Now I like to come into the same hole again because that'll give it a nice thick edge. It kind of depends on how thick your yarn is. And whip it around. Now go down to the next hole. And you might want to go in one hole twice and then the next one only once. And I'm just going to continue going all the way around the entire square. And when I get to here, I'll tuck it in and it will be complete. Alright, so I have completed the whip stitch around the entire outside. I'm here in the corner, and now you just need to secure it, your last piece of yarn. So just feed it under. It's a little hard to do. Feed it under like so, and it won't unravel. Cut it, and there you have your coaster.